advised. The opinions and views of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Good evening. Welcome once again to another championship by the Ateneo. Wait.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I shall jump in and save you. Okay,
See
welcome
that?
to Illuminati with
See
Crip
that?
Uzon and
Take
Trixie
five.
Huko.
Take five.
Yeah, take five. I was about to say take two, but he wants me to say take five.
I'm a
Yeah,
happy
with
man,
reference to
Well, one alma mater just did the 5-peat. I'm expecting another alma mater to do a historic 17th
of
championship
course,
in the
and
other
I'm
league,
expecting them to as well.
NCAA. To which school, of course, we're both affiliated with. No?
That's right.
She's a Bedan.
Even though I'm wearing black,
She's an Alabanger
does
Bedan.
not mean I'm not a Bedan.
I'm a Mendiolan Bedan, the rig. And our guest is also a Bedan in terms of her look today.
In terms of her look, she's wearing enough red for all of us.
And I was married.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that-
This is okay.
Oh, really?
You've seen her. You know her. you know who she is. It's Emily Altamonte Abrera,
Abrera.
a very old friend. I'm older than her. But we're very old friends. And,
You're older than both of us combined.
yeah,
No,
I think so.
no, impossible.
I'm very casual this evening for this episode because we're talking heavy stuff to begin with, but we'll turn light in a while. Yeah. As you well know, we've invited Emily, whom I've been after for so long, for the longest time,
That's
as
true.
the kids would say, principally because she is the chair of the #1 culture body in our country, Cultural Center of the Philippines, CCP, not CPP, no, CCP. And she's been doing a hell of a good job, of course, and nobody even threatens any coup against her. Not in
Not
this
yet.
administration or the next. Anyway,
Not yet, not
but
yet.
you might find it intriguing that our episode title is a little tricky.
I know.
A damaged culture. I've heard of damaged,
I came dressed for the part.
split ends, di ba?
Damaged roots, damaged tips.
So we'd like to toss this one question, which I'm sure Emily will dismiss. A damaged culture. The phrase "a damaged culture" refers to something that was cited by an American writer, James Fallows, over a decade ago. I think almost 2 decades ago. He was an kind of Asianophile, Filipinophile. He studied us. He's a good writer, good journalist, but a lot of people take issue with his claim that ours is a damaged culture. What would be your take on it, Emily?
Well, I think when you say damaged culture, it sounds like something absolutely, something like that you can't fix anymore, that it's permanently damaged. No, I don't think we have a damaged culture. I think we're far from perfect. I think we have a few flaws here and there. But I think we're working our way towards perfection, if you'd like to call it that. Yeah.
Okay.
Would you say then that it's improved over the past years?
Absolutely. I think our only problem is accepting that we are a result of so many influences.
Exactly.
I think
That's one,
forever and
yeah.
ever we've had this desire to be some purest strain of something.
So true, yes.
But we're Ascale.
Yeah,
Diba?
exactly.
And we should be proud of it.
Exactly.
Diba? As we are proud of our
Exactly.
football team.
Yeah.
You know, Ascals, that's fine. That's great. I was about to interject na a cynic might rhetorically reply and say, what damaged culture? What culture to begin with was there to be damaged?
Oh, that
diba?
would be worse.
Yeah.
No, we did naman. No, we did naman. There was indigenous
There is,
culture.
there is,
It's
there is.
just that
There always is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just that we're very how do you call it? We adapt a lot. We take in a lot, and we turn it into something that's our very own. It's
We
not
al-
always beautiful, but hey, it's our own.
And it comes out very fine in a lot of aspects,
yeah,
no? The hybridity.
Absolutely.
You might say that we allow ourselves to be assimilated easily. But that's not due to weakness, I think.
No,
you know.
no, it's not.
It's like a parang psychic judo. Eh?
That's right.
Sige.
That's right.
Sige, come over. Throw me. I'll
Diba?
throw it back.
Yeah. See, today, I mean, today there's a reinterpretation of the whole notion of survival of the fittest. Diba?
Yeah.
That used to mean the strongest.
Adaptability.
And it's adaptability. It's really how you can live cooperatively with
correct.
others, how you can collaborate. And the guys who can collaborate, they're the ones who survive.
Yeah, that's also why I subscribe to Jessica Safra's parang vision that we will eventually rule the planet. Di ba?
Because of our OFWs.
Presence, subversion. ganyan.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, well, that's a good aspect of our culture, really. You know, the fact that I've heard this, and this is no urban legend in the Mid-East, where the kids of the royal families or the moneyed actually learn to play the rosary, because of the riayas, because of the maids. So it's really subversion.
Yeah. Many of them are taught songs, and I think the idea is that they're nursery rhymes, but actually they're the liturgical songs that accompany the ritual of the Mass.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh. So we're spreading our whatever faulty hybridity we have. No? Imagine these kids will know the name of Saint Peter, Pedro Calungsod.
Yes, kalungsod.
Again, another aspect of Pinoy culture that I like. No? This, much as we allow ourselves to be assimilated, we also adopt practices. No?
Exactly.
It was said, I think one of the reasons why my good friend Patricia Evangelista won in her London joust, speaking joust, was the line about how Filipinos can be considered the modern day hobbits.
I
You
see.
know,
Okay.
who like to go out of the Shire, but they get snippets of culture from everywhere, and then
Yeah.
they
And then
come
they
back.
retreat to
bring
the
it home.
Shire.
Yeah, yeah.
They bring it
And
home.
we adapt it.
They bring it home and they create pink villages.
Yeah. But Emily, getting to a more specific point, no, you have been chair of the august body known as the CCP, Cultural Center of the Philippines. Don't you hate your job or something?
How long have you had that
How
job?
tough is it? It's tough, right?
Well, I've had it for about 6 years now.
Wow.
A little over 6 years. Is it tough?
So
I'll
many
say yes and
competing
no. I'll say
forces
yes
to
and no.
begin with.
I'll say yes and no. When I first became chair of the board, we had a group that was fun, that was quite diverse in their opinions, and so there was a lot of arguing that went on, but it was all in good fun. Everybody was able to speak their mind. Nobody had to worry about anyone taking it differently, if you like. And when we left the room, I mean, we were one. Everybody understood what the decisions were and
Right.
so on.
Yeah.
So it was fun, and
This
that's what.
would have been 2006,
This was in the
2007.
beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, this was from
Under
2005
in the
onwards,
GMA administration.
Yeah, at the
okay.
start of it.
Yeah.
And then things became a little difficult around 2009 when actually it became difficult because I think of that issue about the
The
national,
national artists, the Boogaboo,
Yeah.
which is still
The
unresolved.
one,
Hullabaloo.
the event we don't want to talk about because it's sitting in the Supreme Court.
nga pala. Oo,
Di ba?
oo, oo.
Di ba sila nagro-ruling dyan eh? So,
Hindi pa. Oo.
ina-
Which might affect nga the... Well, I know that currently there's already been a call for submissions. No? You're into your next set, no? Which is kind of funny because yun nga, kawawa naman the ones affected by that controversy 3 years ago.
yeah.
Whom we all know the culprit of which of the culprit. We know.
Yeah.
We just
Used to be an old friend of mine.
Yeah. They will remain unnamed.
Yeah, she who must not be named.
Yes, she must not be named.
Pero
Well,
sayang, no?
another he who must not be named.
I don't think naman the Supreme Court will find me criminal if I say now na yun nga, some of those people who were nominated and who were actually accepted and approved of by the president really deserved it, no? And ironically now, nakabinbin. One of them passed away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aguilar Alquaz, no?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Pitoy Moreno is also on his last legs. Kawawa naman. Mauunahan pa ng next batch. Baka sakali.
Baka.
But this you can freely talk about. There has been a move to have Dolphy among the current set of nominees.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, nothing prevents anyone from nominating someone. And honestly, I mean, he's been nominated already.
Yes, that's right.
He was also nominated before, and he did pretty well. Of course, people have to understand that we choose one national artist per
Genre.
discipline. Yeah.
Per
It's
discipline
okay.
of
It's
the
not
art,
the rule
yeah.
now.
Okay.
It's not a rule, but as much as possible,
try to,
yeah, we
okay,
try to. So there will be final, because you see some artists cut across a category.
Yes,
I mean, you'll find that some are poets,
multidisciplinary.
and
Right?
yeah, they write, they play, they act, and so on and so forth. In the case, of course, of Dolphy, it was really more cinema, no?
Yes,
His contribution in the
Yeah.
field of cinema, and so he came up against a few others in that genre, and at the end of the day, it will be discussed and so on, and you have to take a vote, and you need the 50% plus one in order to make it, no?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Emily. The times that I was a bit involved in the process, about 10 years ago, as a lawyer of one of the nominees, 2 times around, actually.
Okay.
In both cases, the clients that I defended both got through. This was my literary mother, Edith Tiempo, became the first woman national artist for literature. That was 2000, I think, Erup's time. And then Virgilio Almario. At that time, I recall, the body that voted with finality would be the third round, would be the board
Joint
of
boards.
directors of CCP and the
NCCA.
Ganun pa rin.
Yeah. Still,
Okay.
that hasn't
Very good.
changed.
That's a good system.
Hasn't
That's
changed.
a good
And
system.
national artists.
That is new.
Yes.
They
that
did
was
not
added
used
in.
to be.
Yeah. I can't recall which year, but
Yeah.
but that's been so for.
I have heard arguments
6
pala on that regard, in that aspect.
Yes, and one can be very open about it. People might say, yeah, they might be extremely choosy and so
Exactly,
on.
especially
But in
against
fact-
nominees in their genre.
Yeah, right.
But
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
honestly, I
because
mean,
they
I've
would
sat
be selected.
through a couple of the final rounds, and I have yet to hear or have yet to feel that any of them have this kind of an attitude. I mean, on the contrary, they will champion because they know they're familiar with the.
That's a good counter-argument.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything can be fair then.
Oo
Okay,
naman.
no. There was one other allegation that I used to hear about, again, in the early days, or in the early days of the system, that
Yeah.
was put in place, if I recall correctly, by the tandem of Jimmy Laya and Rio Almario, when they were the head honchos in NC. That was when
NCCA.
this system came about
Yeah.
na structured na. Dati kasi medyo whimsical di ba?
Well,
The
in the beginning.
yeah, well,
Okay.
from the beginning it was Imelda, di ba?
Yes,
Who said so.
Correct.
And then eventually, in Tita Cory's time, I think they tried, pero it wasn't quite in place yet, not entirely. So now
And
there's
in
a
all
system.
fairness to Tita Cory, she never ever meddled.
Never.
Never.
Never. That's true.
She left it to the
Exactly.
arts and culture.
There was no DNA or dagdag national artist. With my good friend Fidel Ramos, there was one
One.
DNA. There was one
Yes,
DNA, and that's Charlie Carino,
Yeah.
who probably deserved it. But but then again, you could say, in fairness, that the process was not yet in place
As refined
as it was
Yes.
during
Yeah.
kay GMA na,
Yeah.
or ERAP may DNA din siya. was it Hernani Cuenco, I think. Musician friend of his.
I think so, yes.
In any
And-
case, one argument that they were bringing up in the early 2000s was yung whether the sitting board, and in particular the CCP board daw, would have a bias for entertainment. Because of their presence in the CCP, all you ever watch are musicals, plays, ganyan, theater, dance. And this Jimmy Laya himself said na parang he was not that familiar with literature, you know, with the unperformed arts, you know, like
Okay.
architecture, literature, what else? But may konting favorability yung dance,
Yeah.
music.
Yeah, because everybody's much
Oo,
more familiar
oo,
with it.
oo,
And
yeah.
it's probably easier to review a sampling of work
Yes.
done across
True.
that. No? But again, I mean, you will find, see, that's the reason why it's three-tiered.
Yes.
Before it gets to you, meron na mga panel of experts that have
Na-screen
made
na.
that. On a screen na yan. And we'll get the people who are really specifically good at, you know, are experts in that
Okay.
field. You know? So,
And the board would be privy to the process, the documentation of
It's,
the earlier
it's-
judgments, ganyan, the screening.
yes. Oo naman.
So you're up to date. Parang
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
And every year, every time we judge the national artist, there's a postmortem. And of course, we refine what we think are ways in which it can be done
okay.
better. For example, in that particular, you just brought it up. You said, are we familiar, so on and so forth. So we said, we would like all the folders and all the materials to be available of those who went through the second round, the second tier. In case someone brings it up and says, I'm convinced that such and such an artist who was one of the names should be in this, can we look at it? And they can, in fact, review it.
Even if that person was vetted out already in the first year, you can save him?
Hindi naman
No,
sa first
no.
year. Doon sa, na-vet out siya doon sa second. Na-vet out
Sa
siya
second.
Oo.
Is that similar to yung, what's that show? America's Got Talent? Or, no, what was that?
American
Yeah.
Idol.
American Idol, na the judges
The
can
wild
save
card.
someone who's been
No,
voted.
it's not naman to save, but it's just to, it's just to, perhaps they may be personally very convinced about the,
And it can be done, review.
can be done, yeah.
Okay,
And
very
because
good.
you have, that's a pretty big board you have. I mean, you have all of the NCCA sitting there, and you have all of the CCP, and you have the national artists on top of it. So, yes, by all means.
And I would think that by now, under the current dispensation, not too many of the board are there owing to their political affinities.
Yes,
right?
yes.
I recall during GMA's time, no, yung ang daming yung mga ex officio na
Yeah.
coming from the
I cannot
DFA,
speak
coming
for,
from
well, there was a time when the NCCA board too had quite a few people na medyo, siyempre, di ba? So, that one you'd
kaklase.
wonder, yeah, is it possible that there's a voting block? In
Yes,
other
yes.
words, di ba, that can push one or another one of the candidates.
I heard there was a jeweler,
Huh?
Okay, what is this?
not your sister. No, I don't know. That was urban legend. I heard that someone was peddling his jewelry in the
Oh.
during board meetings.
I'm not going to make a comment about that.
That just goes to show I didn't hear it from you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And not from Edgar Bagnot either. But
I hope not.
the walls of ears, the CCP walls of ears.
I'm sure they do.
CCP
Wait.
walls are all ears.
But it's interesting yung coming up again, yun nga, the National Artist Submissions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna reserve my right to submit the nomination for your dad until probably 3 more years or 6 more years, okay? I'm waiting for him for another show.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
right.
And I'm sure you will be parang swamped with nominations visual arts.
I'm sure,
Yes.
yes.
Were you there for the 13 artists?
No, I wish I was there. Okay.
Go
I want to talk
and
about
have a look
that.
at it.
I want to talk about that, but I think we've run
Spectacular.
out of time for the
Yeah.
very, very fast now.
We have run out of time for the first half, but we
have
will
so
be
much
back
more to talk about
the
with
second
Emily, including her personal background. We'll see you in a little while.